Hey everyone and welcome. In today's video we're going to take a look at my drop bridge we have over here. As you can see by the immense mess that I've made here, I've just kind of finished up working on it. Obviously it's not in its final complete state as I still have to put on fascia and there are a few other things that are somewhat temporary at this point, but in its current state I feel like it's easiest to explain the mechanisms and the construction and all that. So anyway, this will be kind of a final overview and walkthrough of what I've done with this drop bridge and the important aspects of it, and then I'll also talk about some challenges that I faced and what I did to work around those, because I think as of today I have a very nice functioning drop bridge. So the first thing to talk about is obviously just kind of the main framework. The lower portion there, that main bridge piece, is a 2x4 board. We used 1x4 risers, we did 3 of those, and then also more 1x4 on top as a sub road bed. Down here on this end, this is the hinge end. If you take a look underneath, and I apologize if it's dark, it's kind of hard to focus, but we just kind of have like a, I don't know exactly what you'd call that, but typical hinge that you might find on an outdoor door for like a fence or something. So that's just easy, straightforward. And then down here on this end we have a latch, and this is kind of like a key latch, again something you'd find on an outside door. So that's mounted underneath there. So that's that. And then you can see I've also threaded through the track bus. So these wires under here, the main power bus, I've got a set of feeders here for the track section on top, because obviously in order to drop down there is a joint here in the track and then also one right here on this end as well. So I needed to find a way to get power to the track, and down here you can see this is something I actually just finished last night and this morning. So those are electrical contacts that I just kind of made out of some metal I had. Those are actual contact pieces, but I kind of had to bend them to my liking. You can see I've soldered the track wires to each of those. So there's one set on the bridge here, obviously, and then another set on the main framework over there. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the bridge down, and then we'll take a look at that, explain that a little bit, and then we'll move on. So with the drop bridge down, you can kind of get a better look at our latch system. So this is just kind of like a free hanging, that's all it is, a latch. You can see this is the slot on this end. If we take a look down here, let me slide around here, you can see there's a key sort of here. It doesn't come out or anything, it's just a turn key there, and that slides into our latch up above. So when you turn that, then it locks into there. So anyway, one of the things that I struggled with is getting the track perfectly aligned, and that's always going to be a problem. You'll notice that the drop bridge has some depth to it. It's probably 5 or 6 inches, but the hinge itself is down at the lowest point. So the problem with that is that the hinge, as you can see, it has a little bit of give there, but in HO scale that's a lot of give. So when the bridge came up, the top side of the drop bridge would kind of wiggle from side to side, depending on how you pushed it. So you kind of had to move it around when you latched it to make sure everything was aligned. And honestly, I don't want to have to do that every time I pull the bridge up. So what you can see, what I've done here is I've put in a kind of like this is a guide, like a lead pin. What it actually is just a thumb, not a thumbtack, a push pin, whatever you want to call them. I cut the head off of it, so now you can see there's a skinny portion and then there's a wider base. So then up here I drilled a hole that's roughly the exact shape of that pin there. So when this slides up, this pin guides into that hole, and then there's no side-to-side movement. So there's not enough give that this pin would ever miss the hole here. So there's no problem of swinging it up and then crushing this or damaging anything. So when it swings up, it just kind of locks in one position. So I made sure that everything's perfectly aligned. So that's the problem on this end. Down here, of course, this is the furthest point away from the hinge, so there's some side-to-side movement at the base. And what you can see I've done here, I already kind of showed you this, are these guides here. So these are just temporary for now because I still need to put the fascia on, so I'll have to finalize that later on. But the idea is still the same, so you know, even though it is temporary, I'm still going to do basically the same thing, just with probably a slightly different material. So these guides make sure that when it slides into place, there's no side-to-side movement. It's exactly where it needs to be so that the rails are aligned. And then you can see I've also curved off the bottom here so it doesn't catch or anything, and it's a nice smooth transition and slots in. And here you can see these are the tabs for the electrical connection. You just get a better view of it right there. So having that pin down on that end and then the guides here ensures that when I drop the bridge and then swing it back up, the track is just perfectly aligned. And honestly, it's just a relief for me to not have to worry about that. I don't want the drop bridge to be a hassle for me when I use it, and that's what it was before, because beforehand I actually didn't even have this electrical contact system here. You can see the plugs are still there. I used to have to plug and unplug when I did it, and that just made it inconvenient. So now I can drop the bridge, swing it back up, and still keep trains running, and I don't have to think about if everything's aligned. So that's nice. But there are a couple things that you might consider in the event that you are working on a model railroad that crosses a doorway. There are alternatives. So I'm not saying this is the best way. If you do a drop bridge, for one thing, it might be nice to look into adding some sort of shock. I've seen some people add basically like a shock absorber from like midpoint of the bridge down to the floor of the wall there, so that when you drop the bridge it swings into place nicely. Because right now this is just kind of free hanging. There's nothing stopping it in the event that you would let go of it, so you just kind of have to gently put it in place. So that's one thing. Another thing is we have that latch mechanism that I showed you. That might not be the best option. I think honestly like the easiest and smartest way to do that would just have one of those sliding latches on the side. You could just mount that on the side. It would slot into the main framework right there, or you could do it on the underside as well, whatever you'd want to do. So I've thought about that. It's possible that we might change to that in the future, but for right now the key is really working. I actually like it. And then also you don't have to use a drop bridge either. I've even considered, since we built this, changing it to a swing bridge, just because I don't know, it just seems easier, and I don't know. But the one thing about a drop bridge is it actually does save a lot of space when it swings down. There's no obstruction out in the the main room or in the train room here. So that is that's all positives for the drop bridge here. So anyway, that's all I have to share. If you guys have questions or have suggestions, anything, feel free to comment. This is just the way that I did it. Hopefully that whole explanation was clear. If something wasn't, then of course ask me and I will try to clarify that for you. And I don't know, just thought I'd share as I move along, because I don't know, I'm no expert on any of this, so I just like to share my progress, and hopefully I get feedback from other people to make this whole modeling experience better, not just this specific drop bridge or anything, but modeling in general. So as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos. I'll have updates soon, some running videos, and I just got to get working on the layout because I'm back for a while now, which is great. So anyway, as I already said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.